Welcome back to TPS. Trading up in the draft always comes with a lot of risk, but sometimes the reward is extraordinary. Just ask Jerry Rice and Patrick Mahomes. They're just two of the many stars that teams had to trade up to acquire. Then there's the flip side where teams can set themselves back many years if they completely botch a trade-up situation at the draft. Here are 10 times where trading up at the draft proved to be costly.
At TPS, we post videos every single day, so don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe. Then click the notification bell to be notified when we post a new video.
And a big shout out to Dillon for suggesting this video list. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. You never know, we might use one and give you a shout out. Number 10, Browns snag T-Rich. The Cleveland Browns held the number 4 pick in the 2012 draft, but they were extremely desperate to move up into the 3rd slot occupied by the Minnesota Vikings. The Browns paid a hefty price to jump ahead of Minnesota, surrendering the number 4 choice, along with 4th, 5th, and 7th round selections for the number 3 pick. They used it on Alabama running back Trent Richardson, while the Vikings settled on USC offensive tackle Matt Khalil. Richardson had a productive rookie year, rushing for 950 yards and 11 touchdowns, while recording 51 receptions for 367 yards and 1 receiving touchdown. Early in the 2013 season, the Browns stunned the football world when they traded Richardson to the Indianapolis Colts for a 2014 first-round pick. Just like that, the Browns had given up on the 3rd overall pick from 1 year earlier. Richardson turned out to be a big-time bust in Indy, however. He averaged a woeful 2.9 yards per carry and only had 458 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns in 14 games. Cleveland eventually used that first-rounder from Indy to snag the polarizing Johnny Manziel with a number 22 selection in the 2014 draft. That, folks, didn't turn out well. Richardson had another unproductive year in Indy during the 2014 season. He eventually lost the starting reins, was released, and never played in the NFL again. The Browns should have just kept the number 4 selection, and they should have used it on somebody they were planning to keep around long term. Number 9, Jaguars move up for Derrick Harvey. There should be a Netflix series on the Jacksonville Jaguars' remarkable yet sad history of completely botching top 10 draft selections for more than a decade. Coming off a surprise wildcard berth in a trip to the 2007 AFC Divisional Round, the Jaguars looked to beef up their defense even more. They surrendered the number 26 selection, 2 second-rounders, and a 4th-rounder to the Baltimore Ravens in exchange for the number 8 pick. Jacksonville used that pick on Florida defensive end Derrick Harvey, but the 6'5", 252-pound prospect was never able to fulfill expectations. Harvey only played 3 seasons in Duval County, recording only 8 total sacks and 2 forced fumbles. The Jaguars let him go after the 2010 season. Harvey last played 5 games for the Denver Broncos in 2011. He hasn't been seen on an NFL gridiron since. Number 8, Browns take the risk on Johnny Football. The Browns used a 2014 first-rounder on the Heisman Trophy winner. The front office actually had to move up, though, in order to snag the guy who many thought would be a top 5 selection. To land Manziel at number 22 overall, the Browns had to trade the number 26 and 83 selections. Manziel was sadly unable to take the whole NFL quarterback thing seriously. Even when he was on the field, Manziel left a lot to be desired. He lost 6 of 8 starts and had just 1,675 passing yards and 7 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Manziel was released in the 2016 offseason. He had a 1-year stint in the CFL that went terribly, and his tenure in the AAF was cut short when the league ceased operations during its inaugural season. To make matters worse in the land, the Browns wound up passing on 2 future Pro Bowl quarterbacks in Teddy Bridgewater and Derek Carr, who went to Minnesota and Oakland at number 32 and 36 overall, respectively. Number 7, Jaguars trade up for Blaine Gabbert. The Jaguars were desperate for a new quarterback, having decided to move on from veteran starter David Garrard. They held the number 16 pick in the 2011 draft, but the Redskins were happy to do business. So the Jaguars traded the number 16 pick plus their 2011 second-rounder to obtain the number 10 selection. Jacksonville used that pick on Missouri quarterback Blaine Gabbert, seemingly landing their QB of the future. Gabbert showed a little bit of promise in his rookie year, despite little talent to work with, but he failed to take that next step in the 2012 sophomore year, and a forearm injury ended Gabbert's season in November. The injury bug hit Gabbert several times in his make-or-break 2013 season. A broken thumb, a laceration on his hand, and a hamstring injury were among the ailments that hampered him. The Jaguars eventually gave up on Gabbert and traded him to the San Francisco 49ers in the 2014 offseason. Gabbert went 5-22 as a starter in Jacksonville, barely completing over half his pass attempts with only 22 touchdowns against 24 interceptions. And some guy named J.J. Watt went to the Houston Texans with the next pick after him, while Washington used the number 16 pick on Pro Bowler linebacker Ryan Kerrigan. And a word for the Jaguars, ouch. Number 6, Dolphins make a deal with Raiders take Deion Jordan. The Dolphins grew enamored with Oregon defensive end and first-team All-American Deion Jordan at the 2013 draft. In order to get him, however, they had to move up significantly from the number 12 spot. The Oakland Raiders lent a helping hand. They traded Miami the number 3 pick in exchange for the number 12 and number 42 selections. That blockbuster trade and high-end draft pick netted 26 games and only 3 sacks for the Dolphins. Following an unproductive rookie year, Jordan was hit with 2 suspensions in 2014 for violating the league's substance abuse policy. He recorded just 1 sack in 10 games, and Jordan never played for Miami again after the 2014 season. He was suspended for all of 2015 following another violation, and despite being reinstated for the 2016 season, Jordan didn't suit up at all. He was released in the ensuing offseason. Jordan later made stops in Seattle and Oakland, but he never made much of an impact. This was, simply put, a terrible decision to move up by the Dolphins. 5 Bengals take Ki-Jana Carter first overall. The Bengals held the number 5 pick at the 95 NFL draft, but they wanted to move up for the Penn State running back Ki-Jana Carter. The Panthers held the first pick and they were open for business. The Panthers dealt the top selection to Cincinnati in exchange for the number 5 pick, plus a second rounder, number 36 overall. Carter, the 1994 Consensus All-American and Heisman Trophy runner-up, was unfortunately betrayed by his body time and time again, and he was never able to reach his sky-high potential. Carter suffered a torn ligament in his knee that forced him to miss his rookie campaign. Following a lackluster performance in his sophomore year, a shoulder injury hampered Carter during the 97 season. He only played 2 games in 98 before suffering a broken wrist that ended his season. He was limited to 3 game appearances in 99 because of a knee injury. In 4 seasons with the Bengals, Carter played just 35 games, he had 747 total rushing yards and only 16 touchdowns. Carter had brief stops in Washington and New Orleans and was done in the NFL after the 2004 season. Number 4, Bears move up 1 spot for Mitch Trubisky. How desperate were the Chicago Bears for a quarterback? Desperate enough to the point where they sold off a king's ransom to move up 1 spot. Chicago held the number 3 selection in the 2017 draft. They wanted the number 2 pick, which was owned by the 49ers. So the Bears gave up the 3rd overall selection plus their 2017 3rd and 4th rounders and a 2018 3rd rounder for the number 2 draft choice. The Bears used that pick on North Carolina quarterback Mitch Trubisky while watching future superstars Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson fall to Kansas City and Houston at 10th and 12th overall respectively. Through his first 3 seasons, Trubisky has been average at best. He sported a 23-18 record and 48 touchdowns against 29 interceptions. Trubisky did enough to help the Bears win the NFC North in 2018, but that was thanks in large part to the league's best defense plus a powerful rushing game. Giving up that much draft capital to move up 1 spot for a work in progress like Trubisky didn't look so wise at the time, and in hindsight, passing on Watson and Mahomes makes this deal look even worse for the Bears. Number 3, Chargers turn over a new leaf. The 98 NFL draft was headlined by elite can't-miss quarterbacks Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. The Indianapolis Colts had a difficult decision to make, and the Chargers were prepared to happily select whoever was available at number 2. In order to gain the number 2 pick, the Chargers surrendered the number 3 selection, plus their 98 second rounder, 99 first round choice, and 2 players in Patrick Sapp and Eric Metcalf. 2 firsts, a second, and 2 players from Manning or Leaf. It was supposed to be well worth it, or so we thought. The Chargers took Leaf after the Colts made Manning the top selection, but the former's NFL career was a train wreck from the get-go. Leaf just wasn't good at all. He had a terrible attitude and temper issues, clashing with the media while bringing a ton of heat on himself in the locker room. Leaf was reportedly seen golfing while other quarterbacks worked on film studying. A shoulder injury also caused Leaf to miss his entire 99 sophomore year. He lasted just 2 seasons with the Chargers, losing 14 of 18 starts while tossing 13 total touchdowns against 33 interceptions. Leaf played 4 games for the Dallas Cowboys in 2001, but was out of football for good soon after. At least the Chargers eventually wound up with Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers, I guess. Number 2, Saints give up the world for Ricky Williams. New Orleans Saints head coach Mike Ditka wanted Texas running back Ricky Williams by absolutely any means necessary. So at the 99 draft, they acquired the number 5 pick from the Washington Redskins. In exchange for all 6 of the 99 draft selections, plus their first and third round picks in 2000. The Redskins were later able to turn one of those picks into perennial Pro Bowler and future Hall of Famer corner Champ Bailey, plus three-time Pro Bowl linebacker LeVar Arrington. Williams actually had 3 productive years in New Orleans, rushing for totals of 884, 1,000, and 1,245 yards. The only problem was that the Saints just weren't that good, so Williams wasn't able to help them turn a corner. The Saints would later trade him to the Miami Dolphins in the 2002 offseason. That all but assured that the Ricky Williams trade was a loss for the Saints. Giving up 8 draft picks for a guy you only had for 3 years? Yikes. And number 1, Redskins sell the farm for RG3. The Redskins wanted Andrew Luck or Robert Griffin III. The Colts helped the top pick, and Washington was happy to take whichever player was available at number 2 overall. The St. Louis Rams held the 2nd overall selection, but they had used the top pick on Sam Bradford 2 years earlier. Therefore, they had little use for Luck or RG3. So the Rams agreed to send the number 2 pick to Washington in exchange for their first rounders in 2012, 13, and 14, plus the number 39 pick in 2012. After the Colts took Luck first overall, Washington gladly took RG3 with the 2nd selection. Now they had their quarterback of the future. Griffin completely dazzled in his first season, winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year award while leading Washington to a surprise NFC East Division title. Unfortunately, the dysfunctional franchise showed zero regard for Griffin's knee injury, which worsened during their wildcard playoff loss to the Seahawks. Griffin required ACL and LCL surgery and was good to go for the 2013 season, but he was hit hard by the sophomore slump. Injuries unfortunately continued to pile up on Griffin, who was never able to regain that magical form from his rookie year. He lost his starting job during the 2014 season, and RG3 later served as Kirk Cousins' backup in 2015. The Redskins released Griffin in the 2016 offseason, and he has since accepted backup duties around the league. That RG3 trade really set Washington back for years, but he really could have been something special if the franchise had just managed him properly. What other instances did a team move up in the draft only for it to backfire? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, now's a good time to do that. Hit that subscribe button, and we would love it if you would like the video if you liked the video. Until next time, tune in to TPS every single day for more cool videos. We'll see you.